Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I'm going to share with you some fun trash to treasures. If you guys are new, my name's Liz and let's jump right into the video. So for this first one, I found this super cute bench several months back. In fact, I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the year, and it had been sitting in my garage for quite some time, and I finally decided to grab it out and clean it off and repurpose it. So I purchased this at Goodwill for $3.49. I just gave it a good cleaning, and then I also gave it a good sanding just so that my paint would stick to it. It did kind of feel like it had some sort of top coat over it, so I wanted to make sure that I got that pretty much off so that my paint wouldn't have a hard time sticking to it. I thought this would be so cute to add onto my little farmhouse shelves, and I could add other little decor pieces on top of it. So I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in Agave. It did take quite a while to get into all the little cracks and crevices of this bench, and I did have to go in with about a coat and a half of this paint. I didn't need it to be fully covered, just enough to make it look like it had been painted this color in the past and it was old and faded. So that's the look that I was going for here. And I also love this color. I do have a lot of this color in my regular all year home decor where my family pictures are hung, and other little pieces like that are this color in my home. So I thought that this would match perfectly. So after I've got all my coats that I want on there, I'm going to take my Waverly Wax and Antique, and I am going to give this a super distressed look. Like I said, I wanted this to look old and rustic. I was going for more of a look where the paint was chipped and faded and the natural wood was peeking through, so it looked like it had been painted this color. So I'm going to go in with that wax and hit all of my edges, all of my corners, and I'm really going to distress it so it almost looks like a faux wood. My inspiration for this piece is, I don't know if you've ever gone to a park or gone somewhere where there's just an old wooden bench sitting around and the paint is peeling off of it and it just looks old and worn. That is where I got my inspiration for this piece. I thought it would look so pretty with that old rustic vibe to it, so that is what I was going for here. I'm also going to distress it using some of this chalk paint from Waverly in plaster. I'm going to do basically the exact same thing that I did with that wax. I'm just going to go through and distress it all, just not quite as heavy as I did with the wax. Once I've done that and all my paint is dry, I'm going to take some sandpaper and run it over the entire little bench. I wanted to get the wax and the plaster paint to kind of blend in, distress the edges a little bit more, kind of get some of that natural wood to show through, just give it a little bit more dimension and detail. Now after sanding, I was going to go through and get all of that sanding mess off with a wipe, and when I was doing this, I decided to try my hand at wet distressing. So I'm taking that wipe and I'm just rubbing little parts of the bench harder than I would normally, and it takes off the paint really beautifully. I thought that this added such a pretty distressing to this bench, even more than what sandpaper could do, so I'm really happy that I tried this. And this is how my little bench turned out. I absolutely love it. I love it a lot more than I thought that I was going to. I had such a hard time deciding on what color I should paint this, and I think it turned out absolutely adorable.
You had me at hello, 'cause where you go is where I go. I don't need nobody else. I got you, and you got me too.
You can ride all the blue. I wanna do what you want to.
If you guys are new here, hey, my name's Liz and I love everything crafting and DIY. If that is something that you love too, consider subscribing to my channel and joining my little crafting family. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook, where I post other projects and where you can also shop my decals in my Facebook shop. For this next project, I'm going to take this candle holder that I also got from Goodwill. I did pay at $4.49 for it, which is probably on the pricier side, but I thought it was really cool, and the second I saw it, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it, so I knew I had to have it. So I just started out by giving it a good cleaning. Now I'm going to take some twine. I got this from burlapfabric.com. This is a twine that they sent to me. You could also use a Dollar Tree twine. I'm going to start by intertwining this around each of those little poles. I'm going to go under one, over one, under one, over one, and I'm going to repeat that pattern as much as I want on my little candle holder. I made it so that the twine covered about 1/3 of the candle holder. This did take quite some time to do this, so turn on a good movie or a good audiobook when you're doing something like this. But it was really simple to do, just the same pattern over and over and over again, and I think it turns this candle holder into such a really pretty piece. Super boho farmhouse, and you can put a candle in here. You could add some greenery in there, really anything that you wanted to do. I even toyed with the idea of painting some of the twine. I just thought it turned out super, super cute, and I'm really excited to display it in my home. Now once I got it to the height that I liked it, I just cut off the excess twine and I tied a knot around one of those poles to make sure that the twine would stay in place, and then for that bottom piece of extra twine I just tied another knot and then cut off the excess. And then I just toyed around with the twine a little bit, kind of moved it as much up as I could without leaving a bunch of gaps. And once I got it to the way that I liked it, I took a little lighter and I fringed off all of the little extra long fuzzies that were on the twine. And that is it for this super cute candle holder. Like I said, I feel like it gives such a good boho / farmhouse vibe to it, and I'm absolutely loving it.
We can leave and run away someday. Someday. I've been saving you, and you save me too. Yeah, I need it. Don't you need me too? 'Cause I need you. Yeah, so call me anytime that you need a favor. Call me anytime I can come and save you.
For this DIY, I found this sign. Now this was a little bit more on the expensive side again, coming in at $7.49. I feel like my Goodwill always has their prices a little bit higher, so I try to go on the days where certain colors are half off, but when I saw this sign, I thought it was super pretty, and even if you just left it alone, I thought that it was absolutely adorable. I love the colors of it. But the main thing that I loved about this was the frame. I loved the wood look of this frame and the texture and detail that it had. So I knew that I had to grab this one up and give it a little bit of a makeover into something that fit in with my home decor. So I just went in with some painter's tape and taped off that wood frame. I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint and ink, and I'm going to give my sign one coat of this paint. Now, once I removed the painter's tape, I did have to do a little bit of touching up here and there, but it wasn't too big of a deal. The frame was just enough of a distance that I could take a little brush and go all the way around it without touching that frame. Now I took my Waverly wax and antique again. I mostly just wanted to give the frame a little bit more of a lifted look, make it look more new. Some of the spots on the frame just looked really worn, and adding the wax to it definitely gave it that lift that it needed, that extra little touch that it needed to make that wood really stand out. Now I grabbed this stencil from a pack of stencils that I purchased from Joann's. I just trimmed up the sides so that I could fit it into my sign. Used some painter's tape to get it all stuck down. And I went in with my Waverly chalk paint in agave again for the mason jar portion of the stencil. And I'm just taking this little sponge brush that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just doing up and down dabbing motions. I find that this works best when I'm stenciling rather than dragging your paintbrush or sponge across the stencil. That's just going to make the paint bleed underneath. And when I do it this way, I have the best kind of results. And I also made sure to do multiple light coats, so I'm not going in with a ton of paint all at once. I'm going to dab my sponge on there, and then I'm going to go around the entire thing, and then I did that probably a good 3 to 4 times. Now for the inside of the mason jar, I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint and plaster, and this is just another kind of stencil brush, and I'm going to go over all the words and that little heart in the plaster color. Again, just doing multiple light coats. And that is it for this super cute sign. I thought this would be absolutely adorable to display in my kitchen, either on top of my cabinets or on a wall in my kitchen. I just think it's so cute. Kind of wanted it to have that chalkboard look to it, and I didn't have any chalk to kind of rub over the sign, but I thought my brush strokes that were left on the sign made it kind of look a little bit chalkboardy. So in the end, I thought this turned out absolutely adorable, and I cannot wait to put it in my kitchen.
Call me anytime that you need a friend, and call me anytime when you're at a tight end. I got you, and you got me too. We can always make it through. What we do is what we do. I can take you anywhere, somewhere. We won't be scared.
You will see me flying high. I'm staring into your blue eyes.
We don't need nobody else. I got you, and you got me too.
And that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which was your favorite project in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!